firstly, I want to know, how likely is it that Australia can get in and get involved here?
It's not very likely. First, thank you for having me on this very important issue. This conflict is still taking part, even though the ISIS caliphate fell a few years ago. It's still taking part. It's still a war-ravaged country, especially in the north where this fighting is ongoing. And there is no organized government that the Australian government can involve itself with to resolve any situation involving its citizens. So for now, at best, people can hope and pray that this siege resolves quickly and then undergo diplomatic efforts to repatriate this and other citizens.
It sounds absolutely terrible. Gerard, given the political climate we're seeing right now in Syria, who is actually responsible for this prison? We know that ISIS fighters have now infiltrated the jail. Which actors can get in and potentially get this kid and other children out?
I don't know that there is anyone who can do that. As you reported, this jail housed a lot of ISIS soldiers, over 5,000 of them, or people suspected of fighting for ISIS. This siege was made by ISIS in an attempt to liberate their comrades. They successfully infiltrated the prison, the children's ward, and perhaps others as well. And the fighting is by Kurdish forces with American support to recapture the prison, secure the prisoners, and defeat ISIS. So who is responsible for the prison at this moment? It's ISIS that's in control of it. Ultimately, it's the Syrian Democratic Forces, which is a Kurdish group, as you reported, that's in control of the area and trying its best to wage a war against what's left of ISIS and to capture and prosecute and repatriate these foreign fighters.
And these kids, they're known as, the kids of fighters, ISIS cubs. Would a court allow him to be reintroduced into society, or, would that be deemed as too dangerous? What are your thoughts there?
Well, traditionally, international law has always regarded children as victims rather than perpetrators, and ISIS cubs are definitely victims. They were raised in an atmosphere of hate, brainwashed with Islamist propaganda, sometimes drugged with amphetamines and indoctrinated into violence. That being said, they're still dangerous. You heard what this child was saying. He was reporting that he was under fire from Kurds and Apaches, Americans. He was sympathizing with the ISIS fighters who were holding the prison, not looking for help to be rescued from ISIS. So there's a very real danger that if these children, if these fighters are reintroduced into society without being rehabilitated, without undergoing thorough counseling, monitoring by the court, and other conditions, there's a very real danger that what you'll have are terrorist attacks or more indoctrination back in Australia. So there is a framework to do that. The people have been reintegrated into society, but it's a lengthy process.
Yeah, and on that, how are other countries, or how have we seen other countries deal with these kids? We know of that case of that British girl who's pleading with the government to let her come back after escaping, back in 2016 or something like that.
Other countries have not handled this well from a human rights perspective. France has refused to repatriate its citizens. The UK, the US, Ireland are among countries that try to strip citizenship or refuse access to foreign fighters, including children. Australia is a country that strips citizenship and repatriates orphans, but refuses to repatriate men, women, and accompanied children. So despite the fact that these countries have had 3+ years to prepare for this problem, more than that, since this war started, they've had almost 10 years to come to terms with how to handle foreign fighters. They haven't set up a framework to do that yet. And I think this case, more than anything, shows the urgency of countries to develop a framework for repatriating, rehabilitating, and potentially punishing these terrorists.
Yeah.